So yeah, I mean the weight started to go on. That freshman 15 turned into freshman 50, and then by the end of the second year, I was like close to 300 pounds. I had been in this world, this lame world of not moving anywhere forward and just going through the same shit every single day. It was Thanksgiving at my parents' house. I started drinking right away. That's what you do on Thanksgiving when your family comes around. And by like noon, I was blasted. And my dad probably said, "Stop drinking." We got into an argument. He yelled, I yelled, I ran outside, and I punched a hole in my own car window. It was just this awful, awful moment. And I like waved, and they just looked over my head, like didn't even recognize me. And I was like, "Hey, it's me, it's Cavan." And they didn't. They were like, "Oh shit! Like this, you're the same person." And I was down 40 pounds in 3 months.
All right, gang. Well, yeah, welcome back to Beyond the Pump, the podcast for coaches by coaches, where we break down all things about the business of fitness and nutrition. But today we have a special treat, and we're pulling Cavan on, who is actually one of us, one of our partners, part of the Beyond Brands crew, and he's actually leading the front on the coaching side of the house. So if you are looking for coaching, you are looking for muscle gain, weight loss, anything in between and anything outside of that, this is going to be the go-to guy and the go-to company. But hey, Cavan, welcome
What's up,
welcome to the
Steve?
show, dude.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's about damn time.
I know, right?
Excited to be here. I have things I want to pick on me. I have things I want to say and share. No, this is awesome. I think you guys have been consistently putting out some solid information, and it's just I'm excited to be a part of this and bring in the Beyond Coaching side of the Beyond Brands mission and share what we're doing as we just launched and how we got here, why we're doing this, and diving into the ins and outs of it all. So I appreciate you having me, Andrew. You as well. Thanks. Appreciate the invite.
Sure. Yeah. We're glad to always cross-pollinate and bring that quality information. So, with that said, our audience may or may not know who you are. And so maybe, just share with us a little bit about your background and how you came to be, if you want to Quentin Tarantino, this bad boy, how you came to be exactly where you are today with, having your own coaching brand and having that established and having your own athletic background in the CrossFit gyms. And like, there's just so much richness inside of your story and journey that I think it'd really be great if you could kind of walk us through that evolution.
Absolutely. I'll give you the Spark Notes version, because then we wouldn't have time to talk about anything else today. Happy to dive into that more so at another time in full detail. But if we're going back to the beginning, I was always fit, playing sports growing up. It's just what we did. We were super active family. And then when it came time to go to college, I only applied to four schools, one of them being Yale, one of them being Georgetown, one of them being Penn State, and one of them being the Aaron Copland School of Music. Hold on, wait, there's more to that.
There was a random fourth one, like you just threw that one in there.
No, actually, I wanted to go into music education. Like I'm a musician. I've sang in choirs, Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center. Played in bands my whole life, and then I really wanted to. In my head, I'm the oldest of four. My mom didn't go to college. My dad went to college later. I didn't have guidance from my guidance counselor, and I said, "Well, I have excellent grades, honor roll, etc. Like, why wouldn't I be able to go to these schools?" But lack of preparation and just being average, in the sense of the people who attend those schools I went to, I was accepted into half of the four, Yale and Georgetown not being on that list, being accepted into a satellite campus on Penn State, not the main campus, and then the Aaron Copland School of Music was closest to home, being that I lived in New York. And I really wanted to go into music education at the time. So I did that. However, no one prepares you to drive in New York City rush hour traffic as an 18-year-old every single day, because there was no dorms on campus. And I started to fall off, right? I just started to not go to class. And I was an idiot. Like, I picked a Saturday morning class at 8 a.m. as a freshman in college. Like, what? So after the first one of that didn't happen again.
I had an 8 a.m. Friday class, and I couldn't even make that. I can't imagine. And I lived across the street from school. I can't imagine a driving there on a Saturday morning 8 a.m. class as a freshman. No way. Zero.
Yeah, well,
chance.
there was no traffic on Saturday, but I mean, I was out so late partying on Friday night that it was never gonna
Yeah, exactly. There's no way.
So in the same time, I was still playing in my bands, and then, you know, got into drinking a lot more. I was working at a Ruby Tuesday just as a restaurant to make fast cash. Started doing drugs, started putting on weight. I wasn't playing sports anymore. I wasn't working out anymore. I wasn't running anymore. I just, you know, was hanging out with my friends, my girlfriend, going to the music classes, not the other classes. And I earned a whopping 0.5 GPA after the first semester. So I tried to go back for another semester.
What's a 0.5? Is that like a...
Oh, I got an A in like the music classes, and then is F in everything else. So
literally F average. Got it.
Yeah.
Got
it. So yeah, I mean, the weight started to go on. That freshman 15 turned to freshman 50, and then by the end of the second year, I was like close to 300 pounds. Transferred to community college. Said, "Oh, this would be a lot better." Nothing changed. It wasn't much better. And then there was a moment, 2008. So this is 6, 7, 8. It was like 2 years later, where I had been in this world of, you know, lame world of not moving anywhere forward and just going through the same shit every single day. Where it was Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is next week, so this is fitting. I was at my parents' house, who hosted, and I have a large family. My mom and my dad both are one of 5 siblings. There are 9 cousins, grandparents, friends there, a large gathering. And, you know, we wake up, we start drinking right away. It's what you do on Thanksgiving when your family comes around. And by like noon, I was plastered. My dad probably said, "Stop drinking." We got into an argument. He yelled, I yelled, I ran outside, and I punched a hole in my own car window. It was just this awful, awful moment. And then I like had blood on my arm. I was like, what is going on right now? I started crying. I went to the backyard, just like sat and like put my head between my legs, and was like, fuck, like, what am I doing? My aunt comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, like, you fucked up." I don't even know if she said fucked up, but like, that's how I heard it. Like, "You messed up, kid." And then she said, "Well, we've all messed up before too, but look at us. We're okay, right? We decided to change the things that were leading us in a direction that we didn't want to go. And now you need to make a decision. Like, what are you going to do to move forward? Do you want to continue down this path, or do you want to change that? And that is up to you." And I wish I could say like, "Oh, the next day I woke up and I stopped drinking and doing drugs and I went to school," and it didn't happen right away. But I felt like I was thinking about it more. And in that same time period, my father took my sister to a school that she was being recruited to play lacrosse at. And even though she had committed to another better school, my dad said, "Well, you said you were going to go, so we're going to go." And when he was there, the men's lacrosse coach came up to him and asked him, "Do you know any men that want to play on this team? I'm taking over the team and we're revamping the team. We have room for it." And my dad, being the person that he was like, "Yeah, my sons play lacrosse. They're awesome." Not explaining the situation that I was currently in. So we go, and I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, I love playing lacrosse. I did in high school. Like, let's see what this is all about." And my brother and I walk in, and they want my brother, Derek, and he can't go because he's planning to study abroad the following semester. And they look at me, and they're like, basically what I heard was, "You're too fat and you're too dumb. Like, you're overweight and your grades suck. So if you change that, maybe there's a chance, but right now, no." So in my head, I was like, "Watch, motherfuckers. Like, this is the thing that's going to change the direction of it all." And it was like as simple as that. Started eating better, started going to the gym, started running, and it sucked. It sucked to not drink as much. It sucked to go to the gym and like be out of breath before I live on the bottom of a hill. So like running up to the top of the hill to go to the gym, that's a mile away. Like I was out of breath. But I went back day in and day out, and I didn't have a plan. I just did what I remembered from high school. A couple months go by, and then the assistant coach and one of the guys on the team met me at a local Starbucks, and they walk in, and I like waved, and they just looked over my head, like didn't even recognize me. And I was like, "Hey, it's me, it's Cavan." And they were like, "Oh shit, like you're the same person." And I was down 40 pounds in 3 months. So to me, like that was the initial moment of like, oh, I needed to make some changes and figure this out. And I didn't know what to do at the time. Like I was just like, eat protein, put peanut butter and oatmeal and all this shit in your protein shake, and like you're going to get healthy. but it worked because like I had done so much damage that I just needed to make some small decisions to move in a direction to see positive change. I go to school, graduate from that school with honors, I was the captain of the lacrosse team after the first season, continued to improve myself in the classroom and in the gym, surrounded myself with better people, dismissed the friends that I had around me from home, and that, we were going on different paths at this time. And there was a journey along the way, and I had a lot of ups and downs and challenges, but I felt like I never wanted to go back to that moment on Thanksgiving where I lost myself and I let the people around me down. Flash forward to 2014, my father passed away. He was 59, overworked, out of shape, overweight. My mom calls me at like 11 o'clock because my dad didn't get up to go to work. He worked overnights and he died. And this moment, I had been working a good career. I had a great apartment in the city. I felt like I was fit. I was going to the gym every single day, and everything was good. And then it hit me again. Like, what the fuck? Like, how is this possible? Like, how could I not have helped my dad? Like, after I helped myself. So I imploded, and instead of like going and drinking and like eating my face off and not doing anything, I doubled down on running and gym, and I joined a CrossFit gym, and like all these things happened where I was like, that's never going to be me. And my brothers and I made this pact where we said, that's never going to be us. So I'm running my first half marathon, and in the last mile, I just start breaking down crying. The last mile on record pace, I'm running like a 7:30 half marathon. And, I'm a pretty big guy. I was like, this is awesome. And then I just start crying, thinking about my dad. And I realized in that moment that I can't help him. He's gone. But maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that I can help somebody else. So I decided to take everything that I was doing for me and start posting about it on this thing called Instagram. 2014, 10 years ago. I didn't know who I was going to connect with, but maybe there was a chance somebody was going to say like, oh, I can do that too. And that's all I wanted at the time. To just share what I'd been through, what I had lost, how it happened, what I'm doing, so people could make a decision to move in a positive direction for themselves, for their kids, for their parents, whatever. And that led to a fitness career, right? I made a friend with a buddy at the CrossFit gym I was going to. He opened up his own gym. He asked me to come and coach. We grew the largest CrossFit gym in New York City. I was helping hundreds, if not thousands of people in and out of those doors every single day, changing lives every single day. And then I just continued to post and grow my social media and continue to help people that way. So I had a couple one-on-one clients, and everything was going great until 2020 came around and the whole entire world changed. And we couldn't open the gyms anymore and they had no more money to pay me. So I decided this is just but a crossroads again, like being on Thanksgiving, the day my dad passed away. It's a crossroads to make a decision of what is it that I feel like I'm meant to do. And I called my boss and said, like, I'm going to help people online. I'm going to do my own thing and take that chance. So I did. And my brother and I started this little company called Hidden Summit. And it was just an idea. We didn't really do much with it at first. I helped a couple of people. He helped a couple of people. And then what we decided to do was, I decided to do was not tell Derek I was going to open up a free group and just let everybody into the group and try and help as many people through that channel as possible. And it worked. It was just one-on-one calls Monday through Friday, and then it became group calls Monday through Friday, and then it became challenges and events, and we hired coaches and built the team, and it was just little bit by little, starting from this free community where people needed a place to come together to put themselves first. And that lasted between beginning of 2020 and the beginning of 2024. And the reason why we shifted and decided to part ways with that was because of a few reasons. One, mistakes that I had made, hiring the wrong people. And then two, actually letting go of the vision and the mission and allowing other people's influence to dictate the direction of the business. Not to say that it was wrong, but it's only to say because it wasn't mine. And I didn't have the same belief and love for what I was doing because it was getting further and further away from the original intention of what Hidden Summit was. And that intention was to help people train their body and mind to live a life that they can be proud of through progress over time, to make more time for the things that actually matter, to use all parts of health, not just the physical health, how we move and what we put into our bodies, to see changes so we can spend more time with our family and our loved ones and have the confidence to do the things that we want to do. So now with Beyond Coaching, the mission continues. The name is different, but we're here, and it's a breath of fresh air for the first time in a long time. And I think I told both of you about this. We get to do it all over again, and we get to look at the mistakes that we made, and we can not judge but assess each and every single moment based off what worked and what didn't work to improve upon the delivery of our services, so the people that walk into our doors are thrilled to be there, want to be there, and continue to work and engage in the process of what it is that we're putting out there. So that's how I got here, and I'm excited to continue to talk about why we're doing this, who we're doing this with, and how we're going about it. So I don't know if I've ever had that conversation with either one of you guys, but
no, I had no idea that you were a rock star for the first, part of your professional life. I think that's an incredible journey full of just a lot of meaningful transitions between family, and it sounds like your relationships and a lot of your experiences are really grounded in being growth oriented. And I think that that's a really positive thing for the listeners that don't appreciate this. There is a lot of personal growth that happens on the other side of these large transitions. So if you are someone that's dealing with something like that, feel free to reach out to Cavan. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity for people to have some mentorship and to have a sounding board. So I appreciate you sharing all that, because it's definitely inspiring, to say the least.
Yeah, no, not a problem. It's not easy to talk about, but it is part of who I am and why I'm here. So I need to remind myself that talking about it is only going to help more people every single time I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, so I've heard bits and pieces of the story before, never, I would say not as deep as you just went through our history and whatnot. And I've known you for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years now, I guess, 2.5 years. And, it's been quite the journey, but I think everybody always has those like, man, like I'm at a crossroads. This sucks. Life is over. Something just ended. How am I going to respond moments? And being able to kind of persevere through that per se is always an admirable thing. But I also think there's a lot of people who are like, man, I don't even know what to do or what the right answer is. And like you said, you made a lot of mistakes through business, and now we're here to not make those mistakes. The thing I'd like to highlight that was unsaid is we're going to still make a bunch of mistakes. We're going to make some new mistakes, ones that we haven't been. And I think through that, like the thing to highlight through this for anybody, and us included, because we're gonna have to remind ourselves, is we're gonna fuck up and things are gonna go wrong. It's part of life. But you need a group of people, and you need your people to be able to be like, hey, I need you to pull me through the next day or two because of whatever weird headspace I'm in. And on the other side of it, we're still going to be better off. We're going to learn something. We're going to grow from that moment, and we're going to have an opportunity to learn, which is big, right? And when we think about Beyond Coaching and really where we want to go with this, is we know people don't know everything. And then on top of it, people don't even know what they don't know. And when you have access to the internet today, between search engines and AI and all the social media platforms, there's a higher likelihood that you don't know things and you're confused because of all the messages coming at you, right? And that's really a big thing. And that's, I would say, the cornerstone of one of the pieces for us is to make sure everybody knows really good information, rooted in science, rooted in experience, rooted in good stories, that is going to help move people along. And the team of us, we all have very different backgrounds, but we also have very similar backgrounds in certain aspects through that kind of perseverance side. So when we got to start talking about Beyond Coaching and the actual service and product on coaching, I think that's the exciting thing and really what we get to do here. But the other half of us beyond the pump is like, let's make coaches better coaches, whether it's a part of beyond coaching or not, and bringing that education piece to it. So, I think jumping into it, beyond coaching at the core, like, explain it. Who are we? What do we do? And why does it functionally exist? And what problems maybe do we go out and solve? And it's a lot of them. So I know that this could be a 20-minute conversation just in itself, but maybe start there.
Yeah, and I'll start first with, going off what you just said. People don't know what they don't know, but most people know what it is to be healthy from a physical standpoint. Like, everybody knows if you go to McDonald's, it's not the healthiest option, but you're going to do that from time to time anyway. The goal is to make different choices along the way to feel better inside and out. And I had a conversation yesterday with my wellness coach going over my blood work, and he was explaining the fact that, people who go and get their blood work done to see what's happening on the inside, to make some incremental changes in their lifestyle, to take certain supplements to improve their nutritional intake, will eventually have this moment where they feel energized, where they feel focused, where they feel clear-headed. But until that happens, how they feel beforehand, and those who never go and get that done or try and make these habits happen, think that how they feel right now is normal, and that is the best it's going to get. And our goal with Beyond Coaching is to improve how they feel body and mind, so they are able to make educated decisions with their current life situation to reach a place for themselves, their family, their loved ones, so they can be the best version of themselves in those moments and make more time for the things that actually matter. Too often times I see these, like, the hardcore gym programs that are out there. Like, everybody looks up to David Goggins because the guy doesn't know how to turn it off and say no, but that is not the norm and not what's needed for every single person to see success.
But
Something
75 hard definitely is. It's the only
well,
way.
75 hard is an organizational challenge. I would, so look, no, and Lacey just put up a great post about this the other day. She bitched and moaned and said, I'm never going to do 75 hard. I prep for a bodybuilding show. There's no reason for me to do this. However, now 39 days into it, she said, this is the best decision I've ever made because it's keeping me clear-headed, focused, organized. The workout part is the easy part. Everything that is on 75 hard, none of it is hard to do. But it's hard for you to do 75 days in a row every single day because you've never done it before. And that's what
and the thing I'll throw out there too, and kind of the joke in there, is everybody looks at 75 hard as this masochistic David Goggins style working out and everything there. When you actually read the rules of it, it isn't anything about that. It's about being consistent with a couple of specific habits.
No, it's not. Andy Frisell is a friend of mine. We've spoken about it.
Yeah.
And like, people take it to the extremes. But the idea is like, and he says in his book, if you feel like you're coasting and just going through the motions, you're failing and you need to start over. It's about having intent in the critical tasks that you do every single day. And I guarantee you that most of the people, even listening to this podcast, potential clients and coaches alike, lose intent because they go through the motions of doing what they need to do for their business or their life every single day instead of actually taking steps and moving forward. They fill their lives with busyness instead of productivity. So if you look at it as a productivity and organizational task, continuously capturing, clarifying, and reflecting upon the things that you're doing, there's nothing hard about it. And that's how I like to go about it. And I don't think you need to do it forever. But for me, in this situation, this is the second time I've done it with my bicep, tearing it. I needed something that I knew I was going to hold myself accountable and have a little bit more integrity than I normally do, so I can see progress. And guess what? I've seen more progress doing this than I was doing what I was doing before with 2 fucking arms.
So you can do a 1-arm muscle up?
Yeah, I did it before Steve did one. So, like, what do you owe me again?
1-arm kipping bar, kip glide.
I did it on the rings.
Okay.
1-arm ring.
The trick is to, No, and I think that, you highlight a great concept in that the same way in training you overexert yourself comparatively to what you would have in a day-to-day routine. I mean, obviously you're not going to bench press, 255 pounds as you're walking around in the kitchen making breakfast. However, you do it in a controlled setting in order to improve your capacity beyond that setting. And I think that a lot of people forget inherently discipline is a skill and consistency is the execution of discipline and really a high form of self-love. And having that concentrated working set of that skill focus in terms of just being consistent around a couple different things. I think that that's a really powerful thing that, people tongue in cheek will kind of, sneer into their cup sometimes when they misconceive or misperceive what the original intent around that was. But people did the same thing with CrossFit in the early days of Greg Glassman, I think, had a really great model. And you play the game of telephone and you have some people that are uneducated. And I think, again, this kind of goes back to, Beyond the Pump and the Empowered University, is that we understand that you have to have in order to earn more, you probably should learn more. And a lot of people that tend to make those snap rash kind of jokes and don't really take the time to understand the philosophical underpinnings of that stuff lose out on a very valuable tool that they could potentially use with a lot of great clients. And I don't know any personal trainers, nutrition coaches, or health coaches, or anyone that's brick and mortar or online that wouldn't benefit from having a super concentrated, skill focused approach for 75 days for their clients. And we see that all the time. It's a challenge here. It's a 21-day thing here. This just happens to be a little bit longer and a little more simplified in my experience and my understanding of it. Is pick a diet, pick some activity, go in the morning, go in the afternoon, and just stay consistent with your stuff. So I really appreciate the fact that you take that skills-based perspective on that. As we're kind of brushing up against the 30 minutes here, I would love to understand, and I think it'd be very beneficial for our audience on the back end of the consistency to understand, you mentioned this deep health model. And I know that this might be a little conceptual. So maybe you can give our audience some insights into what deep health is and maybe 2 to 3 tactical things that they can use or methods that they can implement to improve their own deep health.
Absolutely. Yeah. Deep health is part of, our promise to you, right? Our promise to you is RAD. And it's relationships, health, accountability, and delivery. And deep health begins in my mind, not yours necessarily, whoever's listening, my mind as the physical health. And I believe this is the lowest hanging fruit. That can be movement, nutrition, and recovery. Things that you could look forward to, right? You're going to eat. You have the ability to move in some capacity, whether that be a walk or workout or somewhere in between. And then recovery is something that gets to be avoided as we get older because we have so much other thing and many other things going on in our lives. And we want to focus on these first because then if we can complete these, like you just said, in a disciplined, consistent, habit-based formula, then we'll be able to see the benefits. And that's why I like to start there. The other ends of deep health, the other points on the spectrum of deep health are mental, emotional, existential, environmental health. So when we look at these areas of health, we want to ensure that we are leaning into all of who we are, right? So when we look at the mental, emotional side of health, how we feel is typically based on what has happened to us or our current circumstances. And if we're basing all of our decisions and our beliefs off of everything that we have done and what is around us, and not necessarily looking at where it is that we want to be, how are we going to move in a direction of a place that we want to go when we don't actually love the place that we're in? So how we feel leads to our thoughts, and how our thoughts lead to our beliefs, and our beliefs lead to our actions. So if we can begin to shift how we feel and become curious about why we feel that way, there is a larger chance for you to shift how you think in those moments to then therefore thereafter take action in a different direction based on who it is you want to become. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you haven't read it, I think you both actually enjoy it very much so. I think that a lot of people can shift their mindset instead of thinking on present day and past by looking at who is this version of themselves they want to be in the future and what is one thing they need to do today to take a step in the right direction. You may not have the answer, but at least you have a little bit more of a path that you're paving to get to an answer. when it comes to the social health aspect of it, which I didn't say before, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals is going to be key, right? It's really hard to go through these challenging moments when you're alone. So we've created the Beyond Coaching community for you to not have to be alone, not necessarily saying that you need to be the most active, engaging person in the group, but it is there for you to do so when you need, when you
You should strive to be the most active, engaging human in the group. Just throwing that out there.
You should. I'm waiting for you to post in there still.
Nobody accepted my invite. I went to get in, and it's not there.
You were in twice, and I took one of you out. So I'm just, we're gonna. It's probably because you don't have an iPhone. It's because you don't have an iPhone. We get it.
Oh.
I had to throw one in. We were almost at time, and I didn't do it yet.
No, I get it. I completely understand why we need to have simple electronics for simple minds. I totally get it, Cavan.
Listen,
I just offended 95% of our listeners. It's okay. Yes, I use Samsung. It's okay.
I mean, I wish, and I always think about going back to Samsung or Androids in general, because it's a computer versus like a device, in Apple. But I mean, come on, how awesome is it that you have a phone that can fucking open up into an iPad mini? Like, that is so fucking helpful. And the fact that you can have a stylus
I hate iPads. I think they're the biggest waste of fucking time. Like they do, like it's awkward to hold. You can't take a picture with it. It's terrible for social media. Like,
and
what?
Andrew's going to jump through this screen and go at you now because he can't function without an iPad.
iPads, the device is largely irrelevant. I'm agnostic, honestly. The only reason why, and I will say there's something to be said around Apple and how it integrates and like how you have it. There is some of that, but it is definitely made for simplicity, and that's a completely different thing. But I like how the foldable things are definitely starting to converge. Anyway, sorry, Nick, edit that shit out. I'm sure.
Keep it.
Yeah, keep that. So look at this awesomeness right here.
But you don't even use a stylus, so you're just still
kind of like a screen of awesomeness.
What's the point of having that without writing on it? It's like it's a notepad. But that's what it's supposed to be for.
Back to community.
I have terrible handwriting. So
yeah, you don't want to see electronic handwriting.
It's there to engage when you need to engage. And if you're there every single day, amazing. We gamify it so the more you engage, the more points you earn, the more points that you have, the more prizes that you win, whether it be swag or one-on-one coaching or a fully paid event that we're going to host in the near future. Like, we have this set up so it's participatory versus just presence, and it's off of social media, so you're not distracted by the bullshit that's on Facebook. Don't come after me, Zuck. We're cool.
Shut down tomorrow.
I've already got hacked. I can't even use Facebook anymore. I got like 12 friends on there because someone hacked my account in January. So whatever. And then we go into environmental health and setting up your home life, your work office for success, right? There's so much disorganization in these areas. If we allow it to happen, we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for positive growth as well at home and at work with the people that are surrounding us. The people in our lives are a part of that also. And finally, if we get into existential health, why are we doing what we're doing in the first place? He who knows their why can live to bear anyhow. And if you can understand that, then you can actually continue along the way by having these conversations with yourself and getting curious about different situations and having patience along the way and gratitude for the things that you have in this moment and what you're working towards, and grace when things don't go your way as well, to move forward. And when you connect all of these, that is what we define as deep health. You're going to see that you're more confident through this earned confidence and creating this momentum in your life to see progress in all of these areas and not just the number on the scale. That is why we're doing what we're doing. We start with physical, we move into the mental, emotional, we look at the social, environmental, and actually end up thinking more so about the existential so we can move forward and become the person that we want to be. And that's why we do what we do.
So basically, we make it easy to get healthy. We make it enjoyable to get healthy. Whatever goals you might have and whatever obstacles are in your way, we're trying and we're doing and we're succeeding in helping to eliminate that stuff and break down the confusion, break down the thoughts that you may or may not have around, man, this is going to be challenging. And again, you got to put the work in. Like at the end of the day, you're going to have to put the work in. But we're breaking down a lot of the barriers to make it easy. And also, it's not that expensive. right? Like we're actually making it super affordable, which is not common these days when it comes to online health and wellness and nutrition and coaching in general.
Absolutely. And I think we give a lot of value for the $30 a month price point, especially if we just looked at the fitness assessment and the 100-day cross building program alone is more valuable than the $30 a month. Then you add in the calls we host each month, the guests we bring in, the webinars, the courses that we're putting up in the education section, the social aspect, the gamification, the giveaways. There's a ton of value in there, and yes, it is independent. You need to be independent about why it is you're doing this and take action. However, if it starts to become a struggle and you find yourself in a place where it's difficult to do the work, it is also up to you to reach out with questions, comments, and concerns so we can engage, because I don't know what I don't know. And if I don't know that you're struggling, then I don't know how to help you. We will be there, present, available, posing questions, teaching on topics, but the information that you take in means nothing unless you apply it every single day. So that is why we've created to start the Beyond Coaching community, and we have some other things coming that are a little bit more relationship based, a little bit more personal, but we wanted to start with a group. We want to start with a group because I believe that when you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, good things can happen. For instance, us coming together to create this, even though we were on different paths, we feel that we have the support around us to succeed with Beyond Brands because of who we're doing it with. And you don't need to do this personal growth alone. Like you said earlier, Steve, if you want to come in for weight loss, muscle gain, or anything in between, the group is available for you to come be a part of it and participate.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful to consider. Um, Maybe this story might be a little more appropriate, but when I was younger, I was going through certain schoolhouses in the Marine Corps, and one of them's pretty strenuous. It's a 16-week course, um, and there are many points where it's not uncommon for only one out of every four people to graduate this specific course. And it was always interesting because we found a lot of different fitness levels. We found a lot of different mental resiliency. We had a lot of people that were just tough as nails. And we also had just as many people that, were very, very well physically conditioned. However, you put them in the pool and they would start, panicking, and they'd grab on other people, and these mountains of men would just melt. And so it was really interesting to think about the organization of how you took all these different personalities and how you took all these different backgrounds and how you took all these different aspirations and what it meant to be a recon Marine and everything else. And you put them in the same room, but you divide them up into teams. And obviously everyone's a little bit of an alpha and everyone has their competitive nature. But it was always interesting to me because there's one particular training evolution prior to the end and graduating the course where, you have to go and conduct some raids and you're up for 3-4 days at a time. You're eating maybe one meal a day. So OMAD does have a place in my heart from that perspective. But, it was really interesting because we found that the people that were very physically conditioned and felt like they could make it through the course, and they weren't necessarily the most collaborative, or they weren't necessarily the biggest team players, they were usually the ones to drop out first. They didn't ask for help. They didn't offer help. They were definitely in it for themselves, and they were driven by self-interest. And we see this a lot in the parallels with coaching today, in the fact that as people are navigating their fitness goals, they're doing it for themselves. But the problem is that they're not internally motivated by themselves, meaning someone called them fat and now they have this reactionary thing that's wholly based upon that thing that's no longer they're calling them fat, which is why people lose the first 5 pounds out of a 50-pound goal and say it's good enough. And I think what I'm trying to drive home here is that one of the most important predictors of long-term sustained success isn't the shit that they're measuring in the literature right now from a physiology perspective. It's not someone's adherence. It's not someone's compliance. It is probably more than anything driven by your environment. You can take a plant and put it in shitty soil, give it the best sun, water it, give it the best nutrients. However, it may not grow because the environment in which it's supposed to be thriving isn't necessarily, like, the prerequisite conditions aren't there. And so when we talk about communities, and I think this is really important for everyone on this call, is you have to find your tribe. We might not be it, and that's perfectly fine, but you need to plug into a group that is going in a direction that you align with and vibe with. And if you don't, you will fail eventually. It becomes a game of how far out does that get? And that's largely dependent upon your willpower versus having a group of people that'll slap you in the back of the head when you're falling asleep in class because they don't want you to fail, because they love you and because they actually care about you. And that's really what the community here and every community that we participate in and put on for you guys is, so that way you can find people that have the same values, that actually care about raising the standards of the industry, whether it's a consumer, whether you're a coach, whether you're just someone that wants to be around other people that are just fucking meat eaters, or, actually, no, I'm not even gonna say that. We don't, if you're a vegan, get the
We
fuck
don't
out.
use the V word.
We don't use the V word here. Right. But all that to say is, like, your environment will dictate in
We're totally
large
going to
ways.
advertise to people who are plant-based, and I'll just be like,
not.
we're going to be your community. We're going to be it. Andrew is so pro vegetarianism, you don't even know.
I'm actually reading a book where the studies done by the AHA and the National Health Institute were, lobbied by big food to push fruits and vegetables and lean meats over fattier meats. So the idea is like and then the what happened on the back end is like, sure, your cholesterol went down and maybe coronary disease went down, but at the same time, like, cancer went up. So like, you want to choose those polyunsaturated fatty acids and eat fruits and vegetables and have all those open bonds that, we can go down that rabbit hole if you want to.
We should. Not here, not today, but we will. We will. We don't have the time to open up. When Andrew does that, when that hair is hanging down here a little bit,
that's a conversation that I want to have.
When that happens, and then he's doing this thing, that he's like, I got some shit to say, but I
have something to say. Sit down, son.
But I take everything with a grain of salt. It's 100%. Moderation is key, right, gang?
Yeah. Well, and my one bit on that is that everything's funded. So anytime anyone's
he can't control himself. He's got to say it.
No, I know.
Listen, bro. Everyone's mad where the money comes from, but the money got to come from somewhere because scientists be poor. No, but my point, kind of putting a bow on it, and I appreciate you guys giving me the latitude to share that, is that the environment will dictate, and it's so important. So get plugged in, because you're only ever stuck to the degree you don't ask for help, and none of you motherfuckers ask for help these days because you're trying to do everything and seem cool like you got it all together. So reach out.
Let me piggyback on that. Like, just because you listen to this podcast and you're like, oh, I can do this, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it, because you're like, someone said in the beginning, one of you guys was like, you can find any fucking answer that you want to on the internet. So if you're going to do it alone, it's going to be hard. And that's why our group and other groups exist. So you don't have to do it alone, so that you can be consistent in the things that you're saying that you want to do. This self-help stuff, it can work to start, but at some point you're going to need to pivot and have someone who has experience in helping people guide you to the next step. Otherwise, you're going to revert back to where you were before. In my personal opinion.
It's ignorant. Don't be ignorant.
And
don't be dumb.
The bow I'll throw down on this is, we all live in our own little bit of an echo chamber. All the three of us live in our own echo chamber, and we are predisposed to ask questions and look for information in a certain way. And when you ask Google what is perceived to be, or ChatGPT, or whatever your poison of choice is, two differently worded questions, but with the same intention, it'll give you two different answers. And what I mean by that is, you can sit there and say, what is the highest contributor to death to vegans? And it'll give you an answer. And then if you go in, what is the highest contributor to death of people who are plant-based? It'll give you an entirely different answer.
It's the same.
And it's just because it's what we do. And when you look for what's the best way to lose weight, what's the best way to do this, what's that, you ask it usually in such a way that is with some type of assumptions built in that help you still get the answer to justify your assumptions. So joining a group and being willing to listen and learn and understand what's going on. Again, our group might not be the best. Some other group might be better. Some other group might suck more than ours. Ours will be the best, but it just being real, like, you might not vibe, but we are going to give you tools and resources and ways to go down there that are maybe outside of your scope, which will make you uncomfortable. But I'm willing to bet that trying those things will give you better results, because you've probably never done or tried those things. Hence, Cavan, one arm, best results that you've been having in the past 40 days and things like that, even than prior to, like, hey, I'm going to do something different. I have to focus, and here's the pieces I'm going to lock in. And now, like, you have that mission of, I'm going to do this thing that's outside of the norm of what you've done, and you get results. So,
yeah, and just
yeah, it wasn't a plant-based diet. So
no,
that.
we are fairly not plant-based diet people. I've been eating steak for 5 days in a row now. Like, just the leftovers are my jam, but yeah, I got you.
I will say, please eat plants. Like, there is a strong correlation between fiber and micronutrients.
Sure, you need it all. You need it all.
Like, oh, they said fucking carnivore diet. Like, that's not
No,
what we're saying. That's not what we're saying.
No.
What's the magic?
Definitely not saying that.
14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories consumed, 13, something like that. Like, you need enough fiber that's going to come from plants, and those things are going to help make you healthy. But anyways, well, gents.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on today. It's been an awesome show. I look forward to following up. And if you're listening, you have any questions, you can always ping me on Instagram at CAVANTV_, or just email me, Cavan@joinbeyondcoaching.com, and we'll chat then.
And go find Beyond Coaching over on YouTube. Listen to the podcast coming out. But for all of you out there, thank you for listening in. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, rate, review, ask those questions. Send us some questions. We don't know what to break down if you don't ask them to us. So please engage. Let us know what you're looking for, and we can deliver that information. Until next time, everybody, have a fantastic day.
Peace.